Very welcome.
Thank you, Chrissy. Just before I start, it was awesome to hear that last presentation from Ed. He talked a lot about Foster decline. That was where my geological career started as an underground mine geo. So I was very interested to see that coming back. I hope you'll give me an extra 30 seconds for that, Chrissy. Meteoric Resources, we have traditionally come here and spoken to you in the past as a small gold company. We've had some ups and downs over the years. And in October or late September last year, as I was reeling from the AFL decision not to allow a gold enrichment and take us out of the finals, I was presented with a new project in Brazil by my Brazilian team. And it is truly a world-class project. I think it has the opportunity to become a tier 1 project and be globally significant and change the way that rare earths operate on the planet. This is an amazing project. Our share price has moved significantly since then. We started at the acquisition with a market cap of around $20 million. It's now closer to $300 million. And as investors, you might look at that and say, I've missed the boat. I would tell you that that is absolutely not true. Today is the first time that we have stood up and publicly talked about this project. We've been doing some additional land acquisition in the meantime. So yes, there's been share price appreciation, but we are really at day 1. And now we are about to go on a worldwide tour and introduce this to companies and institutions outside Australia. This is your opportunity to get on board of what I believe is the most exciting project in the world in the rare earth space, bar none. Just a quick background for those of you who don't know about what rare earths are and why they're important, and I'll go through this very quickly. But they are a collection of 17 different elements that are crucial to the electrification of the economy. You all carry rare earth elements around with you every day, on your phone, on your TV. Okay, they are a crucial part of the world, but 4 of those 17 elements are particularly crucial. They are praseodymium, neodymium, terbium, and dysprosium, and they make up these very amazing, extremely strong magnets. So NdPr are low temperature application magnets, and terbium and dysprosium for higher temperature applications. So in all your electric cars, in your electric windmills, in your Dyson hand dryer, if you've just been to the toilets and stuck your hand inside the hand dryer, Dyson use rare earth magnets. Every electric motor, the whole electrification of the economy worldwide depends on these metals. Elon Musk recently said, and an important factor about this is that China controls both the mining and the distribution of the metals. And Elon Musk recently said, I'm going to have to go away from rare earths because it's too hard to get them from China. But if he does that and he puts ferrite, which is iron magnets, back in his rare earth, in his EVs, they're only going to have half the range. They're only going to accelerate half as fast. They won't be nearly as attractive. So rare earth magnets are crucial. Okay, I can't emphasize, if we're going to electrify the economy, it'll be done because of rare earth magnets and lithium batteries. Now, we might re-engineer the lithium battery out, but we can't replace the magnets. To take a step into geology briefly, there are 2 broad classes. This is very high level of rare earth deposits. There are what are called the primary deposits on the right. And all of you here will know about Lynas, Australia's great rare earth producer. So don't worry about the Chinese deposits. These are the Western world deposits. Okay. So Lynas is the big one in Australia. They produce from Mount Weld, and they are called a primary deposit. That is that the rare earths that they produce come from down in the ground in where they were formed in the rock. And they have to be mined almost like a gold deposit or a classic metal deposit, high cost, often underground mining, drill and blast, bring it up, crush it. And the rare earths occur largely in 2 minerals called monazite or xenotime. And it's hard to get the rare earths out of those minerals. You have to use extremely aggressive acid conditions. So the capital costs of these projects are enormous. If you want to get a new primary rare earth project off the ground, we're talking billions of dollars. Extremely aggressive acid conditions, and the problem of uranium and thorium, because xenotime and monazite both have a lot of uranium and thorium as well as rare earths. That's why Lynas had to build their plant in Malaysia and not in Australia. On the other side, we have a new class of deposit. It's not really new because the Chinese groups have been mining these for many years. These are called the ionic clays. And this is where nature has done the work for us. The tops of the deposits are weathered, and through the interaction of water and oxygen, those rare earths have been released from those minerals and are now out in the clay. And so you can mine the clay and treat the rare earth. You don't need strong acid conditions. It's very, very different treatment path. It's much lower cost. And I believe that these deposits are the future of the rare earth world, these deposits on the left. And you should all be familiar with those names, because that's where the rare earths of the future is going to come from. And a lot of the Chinese production already comes from those style of deposits. Let me just tell you a little bit about what we've done. We've secured what I believe is the best of those projects worldwide. This deal was done in early December and gives us access to about 140 square kilometres of land that sits above one of those primary rare earth granites, or cyanites in this case. So we've picked up an enormous ground holding. We've picked up an additional ground holding. Our deposit is the yellow one. It's about 2 hours north of Sao Paulo. So traditionally in my life as a gold explorer, I've worked in some of the worst places ever, right? It's pretty nice to go to a project that's just outside of Sao Paulo, 3 hours drive from the airport, a beautiful part of the world, and a great history of mining. These are all granted mining licenses. These are not exploration tenements. These are all granted mining licenses in the original acquisition, because they've been mined by the family that we did the deal with for clay for over 100 years. So they've been mining clay here and then later bauxite in the area. That clay was used to make house bricks. All those house bricks have rare earths in them. No one knew. 100 years ago, no one knew what a rare earth was. Then the roof tiles, and then more lately, they moved into refractory bricks, which are bricks for furnaces. And those, during that transition to refractory bricks and working with Japanese groups and Chinese groups, the local geologist, Alvaro Focci, realized that there were rare earths in the clays. And he started his own exploration program and he mapped it out himself, and then ultimately did a deal with a group called JOGMEC. JOGMEC, who are a Japanese government agency, and they came in and they drilled 1,300 holes here for 13,000 metres. So a big exploration program between 2016 and 2019. And in 2019, at the start of the COVID pandemic, they walked away. Now, there's some other reasons behind why they walked away, but in fact, what they did was they took the money from exploration and they put it into Lynas. So they're one of the biggest shareholders in Lynas now, because they wanted the rare earth production sooner and they were worried about the Chinese monopoly. So they walked away from this deal and we were able to acquire it. Have a look at those drill holes. That's some of the best holes that have been drilled in ionic clay. So remember that the ionic clays are lower grade than the primary deposits, but I'm telling you now that this is the highest grade ionic clay on the planet by some margin. Amazing drill holes. 85% of the 1,300 holes end in grades above 1,000 ppm. So the ore deposit is completely open at depth. This is a classic cross section. And yesterday I announced some results. We've only just started our own exploration here, and we're drilling diamond holes. The Japanese only drilled handheld auger. It's a little bit like putting in a fence hole, a post hole digger. So you can't go very deep. The average depth of the resource that I'll talk about in a minute is only down to 10 metres. Everything here is right at the surface. Even the soil is mineralised. It's quite remarkable. But we've put diamond holes in next to some of those auger holes, and we've been seeing the clays. So we're not looking for the rock here. We're only looking for the clay that sits above the granite. Some of our diamond holes went down 70 to 80 metres, still in the clay. So the enormous resource that we've just announced can be significantly bigger because it's completely open at depth. The Japanese also did a whole bunch of metallurgical test work, and this is the key. If you're going to look at these if you're going to look to invest in these ionic clay deposits, this is the single biggest distinction that you have to understand. Are the rare earths available to this simple technique, which is a wash with ammonium sulfate? Okay, are the rare earths ionic? That's why they're called ionic clays. Are the rare earths bonded to the clays just on the outside, or are they still caught up inside the mineral? Do I have to destroy the mineral to get them, or can I simply wash them off? This is the test. Okay, if you see someone report great clay results in a rare earth, and they might talk about 90% recoveries, they have to use pH 1. That's extreme. That's where we're spending billions of dollars. Here, I'm just washing it in fertilizer, ammonium sulfate, at room temperature. We can do it in a bucket, and the rare earths come out. In fact, they come out so fast here. All of the rare earths come out in the first 10 minutes of the reaction. This leaches amazingly. This is truly an ionic clay. A lot of the Australian examples that you will look at are not. Those rare earths, the rare earths are in the clays, but the rare earths are not available to this simple metallurgical technique. And that's what makes this project so attractive. Okay, the rare earths are available. So 2 weeks ago, I announced this resource, and this immediately puts us as one of the biggest rare earth deposits on the planet, okay, at a very significant grade. It comes from less than 20% of the land holding, and the whole deposit is open at depth. So who knows how big it's going to be in the end. We don't need it to be any bigger. In fact, we probably need it to be a little bit smaller, because we're going to go and take the eyes out of the high grade portions of this. It is already the highest grade project in the world. So this is just a geological chart of grade along the bottom and tons along the top. I've taken off the names of the companies. So this is just to reflect the ionic clay deposits across the world. And you can see some large ones, but until recently, the highest grade one was that small grey dot on the bottom axis. That's a deposit in Chile at around 2,200 ppm. And that's where the chart stopped, at 2,500, because there was no way that there was going to be an ionic clay higher grade than that. We have come in at 2,600 in a global resource. That includes from surface to the end of the hole. No internal waste, no nothing. Okay, so this is where the word that you will have all heard of, off the charts, come from. This deposit is literally off the charts. It is so high grade compared to anything else. In fact, when you look at the grade tonnage curve, you can see that as we start to apply a cutoff, the grade tonnage curve doesn't move. That's because there is no assays here below 1,000 ppm. Go and have a look at some of the other companies who are announcing resources of 800-900 ppm. We don't have any, our waste is not that low. This is a geologically different beast. I've got to hurry up. I'm sorry, I'm excited. Here are the high grade bits. I asked for an extra 30 seconds too, Chrissy. We've got some incredible high grade bits with grades over 5,000 ppm. Remember that until 2 weeks ago, there wasn't an ore deposit above 2,000. We've got whole zones above 5,000. This is where this mine will start. This is the last time we'll talk about exploration for this company. We've got exploration to do, but only to get these into measured and indicated. This is where our mine will start, and it'll be a very different mine than anything you've ever seen. No drill, no blast. Pick it up, wash it, wash the clays that had the rare earths in it, put it back, put the soil back and grow the trees. Very little acid, no deleterious processes, no drill, no blast, no waste dumps, no tailings dams. These are an amazing project. So one of the world's great investment banks wrote up a note on us just this week. And there's a lot of words, okay? This resource smashed all metrics, and as a gold equivalent at last year's rare earth prices is equivalent to 26 million ounces at 2 grams at surface with no drilling and blasting and very low OPEX. This is a disruptive asset. All right, MEI is a must own. These are not my words. These are words of one of the great investment banks who specialize in rare earths. I would encourage you to look at our stock. I would encourage you to get on our register. You must own this stock. We are about to go on a worldwide tour promoting this to the major institutions of the world. This can change the world's rare earth industry. I hope you'll join us. It's going to be a great adventure. And Elon Musk, you should call me. Cheers, mate.
Tunks, come back.